I love it too, Gene. I love it loud. What's up, weirdos? Hey, what's up, weirdos? It's Mark Splude, and this is episode 90 of the SPLUDECAST. Now, listen, I know I said this last week, too. It was episode 90. It wasn't. Last week with my son, episode 89. Hey, listen, I'm only fucking human. You know, I'm going to make mistakes. This is episode 90 of the SPLUDECAST. My guest this week, my good friend, Mr. Adam Landry. I wanted to have Adam on the podcast as Adam Landry. You know, Adam Landry does a lot of shit, a lot of acting and improv and sketches and videos, and he does a little bit of stand-up comedy, and he's been on some podcasts, but anytime he does any of these kind of things, he's doing it in a character of Adam Landry. And I wanted just Mr. Adam Landry on the podcast, find out exactly what the fuck he's all about. And that's what we did. Had a good chat. Always love hanging out with my buddy, Adam Landry. Anyway, what's been going on with me lately? Well, shit. We just had a long weekend here in Canada. I don't know if where you're living you had the long weekend. Here in Canada, it was Victoria Day weekend. No one fucking calls it that here. Everyone calls it the May 2-4 weekend. It's the summer kickoff, long weekend at the end of May. And man, I had a good fucking weekend, but the end of it was kind of bad. So, went on a canoe trip, first of all, on Sunday. Rounded up a bunch of boys from work. Unfortunately, none of them brought their wives, but I did. Jamie came out with me in the canoe. Man, we started with some breakfast at the Irving Big Stop, and then all the boys met at the river. We put the boats in. What happens as soon as we get the fucking boats in the water? It starts to rain. And that's all right, man. A little bit of rain never fucking hurt anybody, but then immediately following this rain, it started to fucking pour. And I gotta be honest, I was a little uncomfortable. You know, I got soaked right away. We all did. And, I was a little uncomfortable being that fucking wet in that kind of downpour. Listen, I was trying to catch some fish, you know, so I was throwing a line out there. See, I didn't catch a fucking thing. And all I caught was a fucking soaked pair of jeans, a soaked sweater. Man, I was soaked to the fucking bone. Wifey was a trooper. She tried to tough it out. Eventually, she said, hey, we're going to go ahead and turn this fucking boat around and shut this canoe trip down. And that's what we did. We were out in the river about an hour and a half. You know, all total, it was, you know, we were home by noon. And the fucking canoe trip was over. But damn good time while it lasted. Problem was, my back has been giving me a little bit of problems. Any long-time listeners know I've had a lot of problems with this fucking back of mine. And, you know, it's been bothering me the last week or so. It's been getting fucking worse. You know, Saturday I went to buy a new pair of work boots, and just leaning over and trying on all these fucking boots just about broke my back. By the time I got into the canoe, my back was singing, you know, and no good songs. It's all heartache songs, all Merle Haggard and George Jones is what my back has been singing. And after I come out of the canoe and, you know, rested up for a little while, once my back actually sat for a few minutes, boy, was I in some fucking trouble with this back. The rest of Sunday was pretty bad. You know, I was mostly just laying around, and almost all day Monday, there I was laying on the couch or laying in bed, had a bath, you know, and just trying to rest up my back. Now, the great thing about that is, I mean, it sucks to have a fucking bad back, but the great thing about this is I fell in love with my old friend. I fell back in love with the television, and I gotta tell you, I'm just going to give you a couple heads up. You know, anytime I go on Netflix, I'm always fucking shopping around. Oh, that kind of looks good, but I don't know if I'm in the mood for that kind of thing now. I can never fucking make up my mind what to watch, you know? Anyway, I figured I'm going to be on my back here for a little while, and I better pick some kind of series I can jump into, you know? So wifey and I, we picked this series on Netflix called The Rain, and if you have not seen it, man, I highly recommend it. I'm gonna say something, and this is a... This is how you know this is a good fucking show. At least I found it to be a good show because I cannot watch anything with fucking subtitles. Okay? I can't fucking do. I refuse to read a fucking TV show. Okay, I'd rather read a book than read, because, for me, reading those subtitles, I can't see anything else that's fucking going on the screen. I focus on those words and I miss all the fucking action. So I avoid subtitles altogether. Now, this show, The Rain, I think is filmed, I don't know, somewhere in Northern Europe, somewhere in Sweden, Finland, that kind of fucking area. And it's dubbed in English. So there are no subtitles, although we did turn on the subtitles. It made it a lot easier to kind of understand. But this show is so fucking good. The lips not matching up with the fucking words and reading some of the subtitles didn't even fucking faze me, man. This show was so good. I put up with it. And, man, we finished the first season in one day. And it was fucking fantastic. Moved right from that to a great show that I'm right in the middle of right now. It's called The In-Between. And it's a fucking, man, it is a great series. Great characters, great writing. Not great acting, but not, so terrible that it takes you right out of the story. But the story itself, really cool. It's kind of like the same idea as Under the Dome, sort of. So if you're a fan of that, style of story, it's a great story that way. Really wrapped up in this fucking series, the Between. And so, yeah, man, I'm sort of celebrating this back pain a little, because it's setting me down on my ass, and I get to catch up and watch some quality fucking TV, which it's always nice to do that. Man, I'll be honest with you, I hardly watch any fucking TV on a regular basis, I'm doing my 2 podcasts a week. I'm, I got my boy, he's actually just starting baseball, so there goes another couple fucking nights of my week, you know what I mean, taking him to ball games and stuff. And hey, listen, I'm not going to fucking complain about it. My boy wants to be involved with sports. I'm a happy fucking dad, I got no problem. Actually, Monday, I had to suck it up. I took a few Advil, extra strength, and took my boy to the ball field, and we did a little practice. Man, this kid can fucking hit. He cracked one ball so fucking hard that he split the stitches on it. I mean, he's going to be, and he's all worried, he hasn't played baseball in quite a few years. He was in Little League. Did I say Little League? He was in Little League for a while. I was the coach, actually, of his Little League team for 3 seasons. And he loved baseball, and he's a good fucking ball player. Now that he's 14, he wants to get back into it. He's gone a long time off the field, so his skills are going to be behind probably most of the kids there. But he's a fucking natural, man. He's cracking balls, no problem catching and throwing and shit like that. So, yeah, but I did take him to the field, and, man, did I fucking pay for that when I got home. Anyway, well worth it. He's got a game here in about an hour. His first, well, it's not really a game, it's a first practice, and, pick the teams and all that fucking bullshit. So, really looking forward to that, man. So proud to have my boy back in sports, and I know he's going to do just fucking great. How great was that fucking podcast with my boy? Huh? Guys, thanks for all the feedback. People loved him. People love my boy on the podcast. I'm going to have him back on later in the summer. His girlfriend wants to come on too. She's got some things she wants to say. And, she's been out to a couple of these comedy shows too. So maybe we'll talk about the local comedy scene. I don't know. Personally, right now, I'm on the comedy break. You probably all know that, unless this is your first episode. I am taking a break for a few months from stand-up. Here's the thing, man. I've been fucking writing some stand-up. Like I said, man, sometimes, taking these breaks are the best thing you can fucking do for yourself in comedy. And, man, I'm working on this new bit right now. It looks like it's going to be a monster. It's probably something I can flesh out to 20 or 30 minutes just on this one theme. I haven't put anything down. I haven't even written anything in my notes in my phone. This is the kind of thing, it came to me a few nights ago, and I've been kicking it around. It made me laugh. It made the wife and I laugh both of our asses off. And so I've just been kicking it around. I've been playing with it, adding shit to it. At some point here very soon, excuse me, Jesus, I'm burpy. At some point soon, I'm going to have to, commit this to, some form of, of text, either on the computer or on my phone or something, before I lose too much of it. I'm not getting any younger. My memory is not getting any fucking better. Okay. All right. Anyway, one thing I wanted to mention about my back. You know, I've had problems with my back off and on since mid-20s. And anytime I'm lifting weights, I never have a problem with my fucking back. So I'm almost glad I got this back pain. I got to watch a little TV, and it's kicking my ass. It's telling me, hey, listen, bud, you've been putting this fucking, getting back to lifting off for too goddamn long. It's time for me to get down in the basement and start picking shit up and putting it the fuck down and putting some size on, putting some strength back in these fucking muscles I have, and building some strong muscle around this sore back. See if we can't repair it. You know, I always feel a million times better when I'm lifting weights. I've been away from it for a little while. It's time to get back into it. But anyway, yeah, I've been writing some fucking comedy, man. We'll see. We'll see whether or not this is something that hits the stage in September when I come back. We'll find out. You know, we will find out. What the hell else has been going on with me lately? Oh, shit, man. I don't know if you guys have checked out my other podcast, the Scrapcast. It's in my feed, same feed on iTunes and SoundCloud and Podbean and Pocket Cast or wherever the fuck you listen to the Spludecast. In that feed, you'll see the Scrapcast. Now, it is a fight podcast. That's what it's meant for. But I do this podcast with my buddy Matt Connell, and a lot of times, man, we just veer off. You know, we'll be talking about fights, and then something will come up about comedy. We'll talk about comedy for, 10 or 15 minutes. We'll come back to it. We'll talk about, legalizing weed, for an example, or just whatever, man. It's not just a fight podcast. If you're interested, even just as a casual fan of the fights, tune in, man. Matt and I have a good fucking time. And last night we recorded a tremendous podcast, man. It was fucking fire. I just got done listening back. And great fucking podcast, man. I had a great time shooting the shit with Matt on this podcast. Love doing this Scrapcast. Getting decent feedback. Guys, if you're going to send feedback to the Scrapcast, send it to the scrapcast@gmail.com, not the spludecast@gmail. I don't give a fuck where you send it. But numbers are already looking pretty good for that. Much better than I expected. In 2 episodes, I'm going to split the brands. I'm going to have a separate feed for the Scrapcast. And we'll see what happens, man. See if it can take off, if the numbers can get up a little bit. We'll get some sponsors on board. I got some fighters and some promoters and some coaches and shit like that coming on in the near future to the Scrapcast. So check it out, man. Especially this past week, episode 8. Fucking tremendous podcast. Real happy with that podcast. Bit proud of it, if I'm being honest. You know? Oh, fuck. What am I doing now? Oh, geez, man. I got to mention this. So I was listening to St. John Ford Radio on 107 fucking point something. It's on iTunes. That's where I listen to it. I don't listen to it live. My friend St. John Ford, friend of the show, obviously. He does a weekly radio show on campus radio here in town, but he also releases it as a podcast every Wednesday. St. John Ford Radio on iTunes or wherever the fuck you find them. Anyway, I was listening last week, and in the opening, he had of course, my 2 good friends, Arif Hussein and Brian Godso, on there. And in his intro, I was very surprised. I honestly thought I was listening to a Spludecast. John Ford rips in to James Mullinger in the intro to his podcast last week. Surprised me, man. Surprised me, but I was proud of him, man. Here's what happened. James Mullinger came out after Gary Shandling died. They just released a documentary about Gary Shandling, and Mullinger shares the fucking documentary or something, and then he says, Gary Shandling and I are such great fucking friends. He shared some jokes with me, exclusively shared them with me, shortly before his death. So anyway, of course, John does a little digging around and finds out that he met Gary Shandling once. He interviewed him for some, fucking show he was doing in the UK. And Gary Shandling gave him a few jokes from the, probably the fucking shit pile, obviously, right? But, this is, 6 years before he's fucking talking about shortly before his death. But anyway, John Ford calls him out on it. Good for you, John. Good for you. Here's the thing, man. Why do something like that? I don't fucking get it. Does it make you feel that fucking good to say, oh, I knew this famous person, therefore I'm fucking famous and awesome. It doesn't fucking work like that, bud. You ain't Gary Shandling. You didn't fucking know him. He didn't share any exclusive jokes with you right before his fucking death. It's all horseshit. Stop fucking lying, man. Just do your fucking shit. Stop. Man, I don't know what the fuck. This is why I hate social media. Everybody's got to go on there and say, look how great my life is and how famous I am and fucking how perfect and awesome and everything my life is. It's all fucking horseshit, man. I don't know why I'm getting so worked up. I'm not even fucking on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. Anyway, it's just, it's grandstanding about these stupid fucking things. Okay, man, you worked on some show and you got a fucking 5-second interview with Gary Shandling and he popped a couple fucking jokes and told you that no one's ever heard them before or whatever. But come on, and then you take it fucking 6 years later and, oh, he exclusively shared these, but fucking give your head a shake. No one's buying it. You shouldn't be fucking selling it. Calm the fuck down. You didn't sell more tickets than Jerry Seinfeld. You didn't sell more tickets than Guns N' fucking Roses. You got a lot of people out to a building to listen to your fucking jokes. And that is an accomplishment itself. You don't have to go above and beyond and how fucking great you are and all this bullshit. Calm the fuck down, because I'm going to tell you, a lot of people send me emails. Why are you always ripping into Mollinger? What do you have against this Mollinger guy? It's this kind of fucking thing, man. That's what it is. Listen, he's making a living off doing comedy and fucking great. That's what he should be bragging about. Hey, I do this for a living and you fucking don't. That's the biggest brag that you can drop in this area. And you don't need to do all this fucking phony grandstanding. It's a little disgusting, really. If I'm being honest, it's cringeworthy and it's fucking gross, And I'm glad that St. John Ford finally had the balls to drop a name of somebody that he was talking shit about on his podcast. I enjoyed it, John, and good for you. Too much of this fucking shit, man. And listen, James is not alone in this fucking deal, okay? This is just about everybody who's on social media, and that's why this shit has to fucking die. We have to put it down, put our phones away, and walk away from this bullshit, because it's not real. It's not the real fucking world. No one believes any of the fucking bullshit you put on there now anyway. And do you know why they don't believe it? Because they know they're putting out their own fucking bullshit. All right? Nobody's fucking buying anything. We're all just fucking jerking off and hoping someone's watching. It's ridiculous. Anyway, stop fucking bragging about shit that did not fucking happen. All right? If you actually fucking did something, sure, go ahead and fucking brag about it. Don't fucking lie as a brag. It's not a good look, man. Not a good fucking look. And listen, I don't care if I'm hurting feelings. You want to be mad at me? You don't like that, when I fucking talk like that? I don't give a shit. This is my goddamn fucking forum, and I'm going to shoot off about whatever I want when the mic is right here with me in the SPLUDECAST studios. More improvements made to the studio, man. I love the new house. I love it. It's a perfect house for us. Gives the boy his entire spot in the basement. I've got a fucking, a podcast studio room, my own fucking spot. It's fucking beautiful. We just got all our brand new furniture. Man, we had some pretty fucking terrible furniture. When we moved here, we gave all of our main furniture to the boy to have in the basement. We've been living with just, fucking bullshit furniture, basically. Some papasan couches and chairs and, horse shit. But when we first moved, we went and we ordered all this fucking furniture. It finally came this past week. And I'll tell you, I thought I was so excited to get this furniture, right? I get the call, hey, your furniture's arrived. Come on down and get it. I didn't want the delivery. I wanted to go get it myself. I go pick it up, and it's other than the couch and the chair and a couple other things, it was all in fucking boxes. It all had to be built. Jesus Christ. It took me an 8-hour fucking shift to build all this fucking furniture. I am sick of building furniture. I couldn't even look at it the next day. I couldn't even enjoy this fucking furniture until I had a day under my belt to walk away from it and go, fuck building that shit. Anyway, it's all built now. It's all in place. It looks fucking great. Could not be happier. I don't know. I don't know what else to tell you. I got a good podcast here with Adam Landry. We talk about comedy. We talk about, I don't even fucking remember what the hell we talked about, so I'm not going to fucking spoil it for you. I won't be able to because I'm stupid. Episode 90 For real this time, episode 90 of the SPLUDECAST with Adam Landry, driver, right into you.
I'm having illusions, all this confusion driving me mad inside. I'm having illusions, all this confusion fucking me up in my mind. I'm having illusions, all this confusion driving me mad inside. I'm having illusions, all this confusion fucking me up in my mind. Motherfuckers be driving me up the walls, hoping that I fall, but they can hit my balls. Straight jacket, stop it. In the padded room where some punk niggas can't hack it. Distracted from all reality. Now I'm let out on a minor technicality.
Adam Landry.
How's it going?
First of all, you're welcome. That was the fastest shit I think I've maybe ever taken. And it was all for you. I didn't even stop.
I'm not thanking you for that. So
I didn't even stop to wash my hands, Adam. You know? You're welcome.
definitely not thanking you for that, Ben.
What's going on? Hey, you're on the SPLUDECAST, Adam Landry, and here's what I love about this. You're on the SPLUDECAST as Adam Landry.
Oh, I am?
This is a fucking scoop. Yes.
I was going to launch us to a big thing.
No, there's no fucking characters. None
You
of
sure
this
you don't want me
bullshit.
to quit Ian and God's podcast to come work for you and do the mixing
Listen.
in character, and we'll have a, it'll basically eventually become Adam's show now?
You've already had your hands all over my fucking mixer, all right? So, no, this is an Adam Landry fucking raw episode.
All right.
Who is this guy? No one even knows who the fuck you are.
Yeah, well, I got to, if this doesn't come out before the next Hoveland episode, this will be a done issue already because RF already exposed me as the cable guy dope smoker I really am.
You didn't have to say it again.
Well,
You
I
know.
feel like it's out of the bag.
Yeah, well, it seems like it is now for sure.
Not sure how big a secret it ever was.
Yeah, I mean,
All of the cable vans in the background of my videos and the
yeah, true enough. Yeah, true enough.
we never moved them quite far enough away.
Who gives a shit? You know, we're always. I hope once weed is legalized, everyone fucking relaxes on that front. Like, oh, I can't because of where I work, or talk about that shit. Because it really is fucking bullshit. Let's face it. You know what I mean? If you smoke a joint at night, by the time you wake up to do your job the next morning, you're fine,
Yeah,
right?
I feel so.
Yeah, that's what I think. Hopefully that changes. You think it will? What do you think's going to change the most in this legalization deal?
I don't know. I don't really know. I mean, I don't think, if anything, it's just going to, I think it might get harder because they're just going to, like, you go into apartment buildings and stuff now, and you see signs all over the place saying, somebody in here smoking dope, and we know somebody's doing it, and you're out when we find you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I mean, that's not going to relax if it's just because it becomes legal. I mean, you can't smoke in apartments, cigarettes, they'll boot you out for that. So
That's right, yeah.
and everybody will just be on the watch for it.
Same with on the streets, right? Like, it's, everyone has this picture that everyone's going to be walking around smoking joints free and clear out in public. You're still not going to be able to do any of that fucking shit anyway.
People are doing that now.
People are doing that now anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be any more or any less. It's going to be, I think really what it's going to be interesting here in this province because the province is controlling it, right? The liquor board's controlling it.
Don't get me started on that.
Well,
God forbid that
I'm
anybody
here to
make
get
any
you
mon-
fucking started on it,
God
Adam.
forbid anybody get to actually make any money off of it. Like,
Yeah, no. The little guy, no.
No.
No, it's bullshit. It should all be fucking, it should all be open for anybody to make fucking money.
It's like, I don't think that NB Liquor can even make any money. Nobody who supplies them is happy with the way they conduct themselves.
Yeah.
And you're not even allowed to compete with them, which I don't think would be very hard because of the incompetence.
Yeah. Well, and you know, here's what I think a lot of people are missing. Dispensaries around here, particularly like, say, a place like HBB.
Yeah.
They're, you know, they view themselves as a pharmacy. They don't view, there's a couple places that are kind of, you know, storefront drug dealers, let's be honest.
Yeah, they're
right.
not-
There
yeah.
are a few, but places like HBB, they view themselves as a pharmacy. So what's going to happen when the government comes in? Sure, it's legalized, you know, recreation, right? But are they going to be selling like the honey tears and the things that, you know, cancer patients actually fucking come in to look for? Are they going to carry that kind of thing? I fucking doubt it.
Yeah.
And they're
I
not
don't
going to
know.
have the fucking know-how anyway, right?
No, yeah, it's just the whole thing. The whole thing's just a mess. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the government taking over anything that they don't need to take over.
Yeah.
And
They should just legalize it and say that's it.
yeah,
You know, that's my feeling. Just decriminalize the fucking shit and let it sort itself out.
yeah, and I mean, it's not going to stop I think there's still going to be a lot of people just going to their buddy. I don't think that they're. I don't know if I'm going to bother going to these places. Like,
Yeah.
it's going to have to be pretty freaking cheap.
Listen, here's the thing. For me, I'm a dispensary guy, right? I like to know what I'm vaping, right? I want to know the strain. I want to look it up. I get into it, right? I mean, if I just buy a bag on the street, sure, I'm going to buy the bag. I'm going to get high, move on. But if I go to the dispensary, I can pick my strain. I can fucking research it. You know what I mean?
I know where
It's,
90% of what I have comes from.
Yeah.
And it's always the same 3 or 4 strains, you know, so I know them pretty well.
Yeah.
But I don't want to go. I don't know. I didn't want to have my name in that database for one thing, and I didn't want to. I don't know. I just prefer to go to somebody,
Yeah.
you know, because I'm not worried about it. Like, I know I'm not going to get arrested doing that.
You know,
it feels more sketchy at the stores.
Yeah.
I think.
It does a little bit.
Plus, I can't bring myself to ask my doctor. That's the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, you can just pay the $150 and go see a doctor that you don't have to
No,
do
I
and explain it
can't.
to.
No, I can't.
Why not?
You might want to edit this.
All right. Well, we just won't
I'll
even
tell you-
talk.
I'll
Yeah,
tell you
tell
later.
me
It's-
off air.
It's silly. It's
Yeah.
nothing, no big deal.
All
But
right.
it's just I don't think I can do that.
No, I think because they, you know, the government doesn't have a lot of knowledge on it, and I don't think they're gonna bring like the dispenser I go to. They have 26 strains there at all fucking times. 26, man. That's pretty impressive. I doubt very highly the government's gonna have that kind of selection, and if they don't, the black market's gonna go fucking crazy, right? They're gonna go crazy.
Yeah. I think that the price. Well, yeah, the selection I guess is important too. Although I think eventually it'll probably be people like there's the thing about weed is they give us all the colorful names and everybody's got to try everything because of all the, you know, it's like you're picking out children's cereal.
Yeah. But it's fun. That's part of the fun of it, you know.
Yeah, but
for me it is.
Look at the liquor store though. Like you go to people who drink. You know, eventually you end up into a pretty narrow category of what you're buying every week, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't.
But you
I
know,
don't shop around for liquor too often.
You know what? Here's the difference, though. In my mind, here's what I think is the difference. If I go and I buy a box of Alpine, and then I go buy a box of Coors Light, it's not going to be a lot different.
No, they're the
you know,
exact
the
same
effect
thing.
is not going to be much different at them. But you go buy 2 different strains, the effect could be vastly different.
Yeah,
you know, vastly
Yeah,
different.
that's true. That's true.
So I don't think it's really comparable like that, and that's the thing I think is the problem. I don't think the government gets that. You know,
maybe not. Although that being said, I think you still would just settle into 2 or 3 kinds to cover your you know your sativa for the morning and indica at night.
sure.
Is most people.
Sativa in the morning. You know, here's the thing. I'm a sativa guy myself, right? Like I love sativa. I don't do a lot of indicas. I like the energetic buzz, and I read a lot of reviews. Like for instance, I just bought some Candy Skunk, right? And the review said this is the best weed for wake and bake, and it's, you know, it focuses you and gives you energy and stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, I smoked it at like 10:30 at night, and I'm thinking to myself, if I smoke this shit in the fucking morning, I'm not going to get anything done. I have never found a strain, no matter what the review was, that's going to work for me to smoke in the morning and then go about my fucking
Well,
day.
when I
I'm
say-
just not built that way. I have
When
a
I
very
say
low
morning,
tolerance.
I mean 2 in the afternoon when I get up on the weekends.
Right. Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like I have a very low tolerance. There's nothing. They don't make a strain that I could smoke in the morning and be functional throughout my workday. Certainly not.
I've got a pretty high tolerance. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. Yeah, it should be interesting, man. I don't know. Anyways, enough about the weed. What's going on with comedy? Are you still doing stand-up? What's the fucking story here?
I don't know. I can't remember. I told John. I think I was supposed to be on something that Ian was doing. I don't know. Did he even do that show? Because last time I heard him talking about it, I wasn't on the list, and I said to him the second time, I thought I was on that.
Do you mean at the Somerset? Was he?
Is that what it was?
I think he did a show there at the Somerset.
No, that was the other. That was the other girl's show that got moved. This is the one. Somebody wanted him to put it on. Oh, at where the Buffalo Club used to be.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he reached out and asked me if I do that, and I had to tell him I'm still retired.
Yeah, you were off for a few months.
Yeah, so you're going to be on that show.
I don't know. Last time I
Okay,
told
Ian
him,
Esty, let's reach out to people here. What the fuck are we doing?
He didn't remember that he said that I could, and then I don't know if he put me on or if it's even happened yet. I wasn't paying attention, so I don't know. But if I was supposed to be, but if not, I'll go and I'm not done doing it. I just don't really seek it out.
Yeah,
it's the way that I do it is a bit weird because I don't want to do it twice, and I know if I do it too much, then I won't be able to come up with new stuff that often. Like it's kind of like a fluke every time it goes well.
Yeah, well, it's not like you're getting up and working on your tight five and repeating it fucking over and over.
And
you're doing something wacky that's different fucking every time. One-offs, yeah, which I fucking love, man. I honestly think, and you always come up with a plan and you go up there. It's loose, right? Like you're good at improv. I think if you just went up there every time without any shtick, without any, the fucking, what'd you do at No Jokes Bar Deluxe there? You were handing out, what was it? It was for timeshares or some fucking
come
thing?
live at my house with me at the Casa de Chateau.
Yeah, that's right. Timeshares at your own fucking apartment.
Yeah, it was timeshares,
Yeah. I would like to see you just get up and fucking goof around as Adam Landry. You know,
maybe.
You don't give yourself enough credit, man. You're a funny dude. Just being you're a funny dude.
Yeah, but I think that if I'm funny in conversation, it's usually because I'm reacting to something. Like I don't know, get up. I mean, what happened is I get on stage and the first 5 or 10 minutes, I wouldn't have anything. Like I'd need something, and then I to start, and then I think I'd end up just doing what I usually do and making the whole thing silly. I don't know. I'm not sharp enough on my feet to just like. I think the fear would get me before I'm in a comfortable situation the way that I do it now.
Yeah,
and that's why I'm able to improvise.
Yeah,
if I go up there without nothing, trying to compete against stand-ups, like there's the thing about stand-ups, they care about like their stage presence. With the character, I don't really have to care about stage presence in the same way. I just have to flail my arms around and not be nervous. That's
right.
That's basically it. I don't have to have like that kind of condescending demeanor that comedians have to have,
Yeah.
So and since I'm not doing the same thing, in that sense I'm not compared to them in any way.
Yeah.
So nobody's like looking at me as being how good at any of those things I was compared to everybody else, because I'm not doing anything the same as anybody else.
Yeah, you stand out as something a little different, a little goofy.
Yeah.
Like your set at the Every Comedian in New Brunswick Except Mark Splude was a pretty fucking good set, man. I think it was the set of the night. Just the way it worked out. It was, man, you had me fucking cracked up. And there was actually a lot of great sets that night.
Yeah,
and
it was pretty good.
Yeah, you fucking had me howling when I watched that video. Dude, I loved it. I loved it.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. Do you think, like, you do a lot of characters?
I do a character.
Well, you do a character, but do you think you use that as a crutch, maybe? Like, are you afraid to just let it loose? What is it?
It's not that it's, well, I mean, maybe it's that, like I say, the nerves, it's not.
Do you get nervous? Because, man, honestly, you
like,
never seem fucking nervous.
I would be nervous if I had to do that. I was nervous as hell at the roast.
Oh, you
the
were?
The roast was really nerve-wracking because I couldn't imagine this was going to go good. I didn't have a roast for anybody. It was all like, especially once it started up and I was like, man, this is, everybody's, biting each other's heads off.
Yeah.
These guys are
and
good.
it was fucking solid material.
It was good. It was really good. It was a fun night. But anyways, it went over really well, and I was surprised at that. So that was, but now I understand why that worked so well. But it's not that I'm afraid to do it. I just think that my in the moment nerves would screw me up, and it wouldn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And I mean, I could try it, but I'm doubtful that it would work. And I don't really want to. Like, I don't like stand-up comedy the way that you guys do. I don't watch it very often. I've got a few that I like, and if it comes on or if I see it on YouTube or something, I'll watch a few minutes. But
sure, I'm
more interested in written sketch, just comedy writing in the scripted form.
Yeah, sketch and scripted, and semi-improv.
Semi-improv.
Yeah.
I mean, like the Trailer Park Boys do it, or like to do it on Curb Your Enthusiasm, that type of thing, like where they've got
an idea.
They got a storyboard, and a couple
board.
shots at it. You can do it more than as far as filming stuff. I like doing 3 or 4 takes and then editing them together as long as you have a general idea of where you're going, you're okay.
Yeah.
But And yeah, and I prefer that. I prefer the spontaneity to actually writing every individual line. But if I'm working with other people, then I want to know exactly what they're saying.
Yeah, yeah. It's. I think it'd be interesting to see where you're at if you continue to do it on a semi-regular basis. What it turns out to be in a couple years.
The interesting thing about the way that I do it is that it's not like a skill like riding a bike or like, when you do comedy, the more you do it, the better you get.
Absolutely.
I don't really need to do it all the time. Like I don't think I need a whole lot of work on like, the stage presence or anything. Like it's all just kind of built into the character.
Right.
So I can just sit around and think about it for 6 months and then come out and do something. Like I don't have to keep it a well-oiled machine. I thought I might have to, but then I went like a year without hardly doing it at all, and it's no problem.
Yeah, I never, and a lot of people talk about ring rust when it comes to comedy, like you have to do it all the time or you lose it a little bit. And that's true a little bit. In my experience, honestly, I'm in the middle of a break right now, and this is not any new territory for me. I've done this a number of times, and I find when I come back out, maybe it's just a break, I just feel invigorated. It's never hurt me at all. In fact, I usually come back much fucking stronger. Yeah. So I don't really buy that fucking ring rust when it comes to comedy.
I don't think that it's really to do with like your jokes, your ability to even tell a joke. I think that most of what people would experience, and you're probably totally immune to this anyway, is like, the feeling scared before you, on stage and nerves and posture and stuff like that. Like all the little things that you don't really have to think about that because you on stage and me and you in a room is pretty much the same thing. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Well, that's what I endeavor to do. Right. I'm trying to be just as, natural as I can be up there.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm lucky. I was born with a little bit of, whatever the fuck that thing is.
I think there are a ton of comedians, both successful and otherwise, who are just not funny people. They recognize funny, and given time and a notepad, they can figure it out.
Yeah, and practice.
Exactly. Yeah, but they're not. They're the ones that are like, big bundles of nerves and always upset and worried about how everything went. And that's how you can tell if a comedian's actually a funny person.
Yeah, you're right though. There are many people who get into comedy who are not, naturals, right? But they can still be very, very successful at it.
Yeah.
You just got to work, that much fucking harder.
Yeah.
What I like to do, I was born with a little bit of talent, but I like to put a lot of fucking hard work behind it too, right? To make sure you're going to be successful. Mm-hmm. You can't rest just because you have talent.
Well, that's why you're definitely in the tops in town for sure, and it's for that reason. It's because you actually put in a ton of work. And you don't need to put in as much work as a lot of the people who put in less than you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's...
And one of the reasons why, and I appreciate that, and we're going to get to your top 5 list here in a minute, but
Jeez. That's not
I'm
fair
kidding.
for me.
Dude, I'm not doing...
I've missed out on the last year and a half of new comedians. Like I went to the No Jokes Barred 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And the only one I knew was Vince Hoban.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Oh, and Brian
And he
Dawson.
hasn't been in fucking town for 2 years.
Yeah. Kills it too.
Yeah, it's weird. I experienced that same thing the last time. One of the last times I was at Yucks, my buddy was on the show, and I went out to the green room, looked at the list. I didn't know a fucking soul on it except that guy and Jimmy McKinley.
That's what
everybody else
about,
was
about
like.
St.
What the
John,
fuck,
though. It doesn't. It seems to just be getting bigger. Like the more people are getting decent at it, the more like their friends and everybody else is seeing it, and then like, oh, I can do this too. And it actually like, I mean, geez, that one at No Jokes Barred that I went to, it was one person's first time, one person's second time. It was Rudy hadn't been on in a while, and there was somebody else who was pretty new, and everybody killed.
Yeah.
Like everybody. It was really good. It was, even the guy who went first, it was probably I've said this a few times, but I think this one was the best first timer I've ever seen.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And who was that? Do you remember?
I don't remember. I don't remember the names. That's the problem with comedy.
Yeah.
You guys all need to have like mascots and funny hats so I can identify.
We need to brand better, right?
Well, it's not
better branding.
It's true. And it's not just me. You go outside of a comedy show and what do you hear? Oh, who was your favorite? Number 2. The number 2 guy was real good. Like
the guy that talked about maritime directions. He was my favorite.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, John on his, did you listen to St. John 4 radio this past week? No. With Arif and Godso?
No.
Jesus, did they tear Mullinger apart? I thought I was listening to a fucking SPLUDECAST for a second.
Really?
I was like, what the hell is going on? John tore into him a little bit about that Gary Shandling business, where he posted that Gary shared a few exclusive jokes with him right before his death. But he met him once in 2012. I mean, anyway, John let him fucking have it for it, and good for John. I enjoyed the hell out of it. But anyway, getting back to it, you're right where I don't have to work. I don't really have to work quite as hard. And I have been phoning it in 2018. And I sense it.
And that's your cue to
take a break.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely. Because I've been involved in, this year already, I've been involved in a lot of paid shows, like good fucking gigs where I go, I'll figure it out day of.
Yeah.
I'm doing an hour.
That's what I do. That's what I do at No Jokes Barred.
Yeah.
It's a little different. I get $8.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. But it's that was certainly my cue to, shut her down for a little while.
That's cool. Because you could just easily, a lot of people would be tempted to just say screw it, as long as you're getting paid, to just keep, taking the money and doing the same set over and over again.
Can't do her. You know me, I can't do her, right? But I also think, I was getting to a point where in comedy, like it's so easy to put comedy on this fucking pedestal, and make it so fucking important. You know what I mean? And I think it's important to step back and realize it's not that big of a fucking deal.
People telling jokes.
Yeah, it's people telling jokes, man. And none of us here, until we leave here and we really want to seek it out, we can't do it from here, And, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, that's... It might happen. There might be some more success from St. John, or at least become one of those places where people move from, that it still gets known.
Yeah.
Like there's those incubators of...
Oh, listen, man, there's talent on this fucking scene. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's no eyes on this
there was
fucking
no
scene.
Seattle music scene until the grunge one, right? So, like, it does happen, and St. John's a bit of a weird little spot, but it's possible. And with the internet now, there's no reason why you can't get your stuff out there. But again, the branding becomes an issue. And there's a lot of weird... I'm not saying I totally disagree with it, but there's a lot of weird pride that I find comedians have around certain things.
Yeah.
Like prop comedy is a simple example, nobody finds that. And it's like,
It's blasphemy.
I don't see why. If it's funny, it's funny. I mean, I use props. I know it's a little different, but I don't think... I mean, I can see why prop comedy would be stupid, because you get kind of that image in your head. It's like the same as with a mime. It's like, it's so cheesy looking and I've seen it.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that there's like mimes on the Las Vegas Strip that would blow your mind.
Oh, for sure, man. Even Carrot Top, there's a reason he's got a fucking nightly show in Vegas.
Yeah.
People fucking laugh when he's a prop comic.
He's self-aware. That's what makes Carrot Top's not bad. Like, he knows how...
He knows that he's a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what he's playing on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I enjoy Carrot Top, to be honest. I'm not going to sit down and watch him for an hour, but a 5-minute clip of Carrot Top, sign me up.
I guess the other side of it, though, is people, if you're doing prop comedy, you're probably not thinking about life as hard as maybe your Bill Burr or something like that.
Yeah, well, I think there are purists, right? Like I'm that way, right? That's why I can't enjoy a James Mollinger set, because sure, he could go into a room and fucking kill, but I look at the quality of what he wrote down and what he's selling to me here, right? He's really selling me him more than what he's saying. And I don't know. I'm a purist that way myself.
I don't have a huge...
Like Bo Burnham. You and I have had this discussion before about Bo Burnham.
Yeah, but see, Bo Burnham, I see the work.
Yeah.
Like, man, that's the one thing I'll give that kid props. It's like that. He fills every friggin' second and frame of his performance with something. Like, there's one in the first big special that he did, and it's just a little aside. He's sitting up on his little podium setting a poem, which was hilarious, and then he's switching from that to his piano. And when he does it, he does like a funny arm motion. It says, every moment could be a comedic moment, and then it just gets on, it's not really that funny of a thing, but it's a perfect example of what he does at every show. It's like there's not a second missing. And they're so... I know you're not a huge fan, but have you ever watched one of the specials, the whole thing through?
Not all the way through.
Because
if I'm being honest, I've seen probably 20 full minutes of Bo Burnham.
The reason why I think that he's so great is because both those specials, they're so... they start and end in the same place, like it's just that type of storytelling that I like, and it's just really tightly woven. Everything, even though it's such disparate pieces, they somehow fit together to form a cohesive whole.
Yeah. I love that too. I like a theme.
Yeah.
Like not a very clear theme, but something that, you stay on the same page pretty well throughout. I enjoy that.
They seem
I just don't enjoy his musical stuff. Like, it's just,
if you
for
can't
me,
get
he's
past...
mixing too much stuff in, that's all.
That's fair. And if you can't, if you don't like his singing, then it would be really hard to watch a whole hour of him, because half of it's going to be singing.
That's right.
And there's other different parts to it. I really enjoy all the stuff that's like synced up with the lights. I've always been kind of...
It's a show.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate that it's a show. I just, and I'm sure it's great. I watched it with the intent of seeing stand-up comedy, and it wasn't it.
Well, see, I just saw, I think it was on Facebook, somebody posted a link to his song about God, It's like his atheist anthem.
Right.
But anyway, so I clicked on that and I listened to it. I was like, wow, that's a pretty intelligent tune. And then I saw that it was from this whole big 2-hour thing. So I just watched that. Like, I didn't know who he was. I never heard of him before that. And I was like, holy crap, this is awesome. But to each their own. His show that he made, Zach Stone Is Going to Be Famous. Have you ever heard of that? He did one season that he wrote. He's the main guy. And I think he directed it too at like 19 years old.
No shit.
It's really funny.
Oh, listen, man, he's a talented fucking guy.
His
He's just not
father
my
in it
cup of
is,
tea.
Biff from Back to the Future.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
it's really
Oh,
good.
that's pretty good.
His brother's really funny. There's a lot of really good one-liners in it, and he's playing the idiot. He's not the straight man who you like see the show through. He's delusional, thinks he's going to become famous after high school before all his friends go to college.
Right.
So he's got like 2 months every day. He's trying a new thing to become famous. It's really good.
Well, that's all right. Yeah, I don't know. They're just, and I enjoy musical comedy like Jean Lajoie.
Oh yeah, I forgot
I
about that guy.
fucking love that guy, man.
Yeah.
Regular, everyday, normal motherfucker. I love that fucking guy.
Like the one with all the
But he doesn't mix it with stand-up. You know what I mean? So that's, for me, that's the difference.
Yeah, but I mean, I couldn't. If you like Jean Lajoie singing and he did a song at a show, I don't know.
Yeah.
Does he do stand up?
I don't think Jean Lajoie does stand. But you know what? I'm talking out of my ass. I really don't know. Maybe he fucking does, you know.
Kind of everybody does. If you,
I don't know, but for me growing up, man, I did like that kind of thing. Like I love Jimmy Flynn, right? Like
Yeah.
I take so much shit for being a huge Jimmy Flynn fan. I don't care, man. He molded me as a young child. He molded a lot of the comedy you see from me now. You know,
Yeah.
he was a huge influence on me, and I still love him, man. I saw him in 2010. I just missed him. He was just in town. I missed that
Yeah.
show. I wanted to go to it, but yeah, people shit on Jimmy big time and shit on me for liking Jimmy. I don't care, and I like it that he mixes the music with the you know, I love that back in the day.
yeah, it's just that. Yeah, it's just now everybody's got everybody's got the presentation, and I feel another thing too that's different with comedy is that nobody is a bigger fan of comedy than comedians.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
literally nobody.
That's
Like,
what makes it so hard when we go to a show and there's 6 people in the audience. We go, what gives, man? This is going to be a good show. Nobody gives a fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you got, you'll have your few friends there or whatever, and it's a little bit different than music. You can get people excited about a song, but it's hard to get them excited about a joke.
About a bit,
But
yeah.
You got to come back and hear the same bit. But another comedian, like I don't mind going to like seeing, Brian Godso tell the story where he shits himself more than once because it gets better every time. He's getting better at telling it. But I could
Yeah.
see if I was just a regular guy, I might just go to a comedy show and be like, I've already heard this, but I'm interested because I know Brian to see how and I know he's working on that bit to see how it's changed, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So it makes a difference that way. But I do think that that's the biggest fans of comedy. If you get to be a point where you're like, a huge fan of just stand-up comedy in general, you're going to become a stand-up comedian. There's nothing really standing in your way.
Yeah.
Just
Anybody
write
can do
something
it.
down. Yeah.
All you got to
don't-
do is raise your fucking hand.
You don't even need a guitar. You don't need to buy.
Yeah.
There's no barrier of entry except
Doesn't
for,
matter how you look.
Yeah,
You know,
really. Yeah.
anybody, you're like literally anybody can fucking do it.
Yeah, it seems like kind of one of those like island of misfit toys. This is kind of a good way to think of comedians because there's a little bit of everybody and nobody fully belongs. And
Yeah. We're all outcasts for the most part.
Yep.
You know, I think what you said about Bo Burnham is so important, and it may be something that's missing on this scene a little bit. And I'm sure it's not just this scene. It's just, throughout comedy nowadays. I mean, back in the day, the important thing was laughs, man. Like, you got to keep them fucking laughing. Like, you talked about Bo Burnham, how much, how many laughs he squeezes in to a performance. And I think that gets missed a lot, especially nowadays where the alt comedy scene started and people are telling, long form stories and just doing different kind of things. They miss that you got to keep these people entertained.
That's a
like
result. That's a result
setup.
of the same. In my opinion, that's a result of the same phenomenon of most of your fans being comedians.
Right.
They're sick of hearing your stand up, and they want to just like they'll listen to It's getting to the point now where people listening to the podcasts that comedians are doing. That's more important than listening. You get a new set once a year, but every day or every week they're on their podcast.
Yeah.
And it's not. If you think of that as your creative output, most of it's not funny or not as funny. It's not written. It's not tight.
No, exactly. Like I call mine a comedy podcast, but it's only comedy if comedy happens. It's not comedy on purpose.
It's about comedy.
It's about comedy.
Yeah.
But it's, there's not always, like, you and I haven't had a whole bunch of laughs here so far.
No.
But the funny thing is, for me, I get way more listeners per week on my podcast than I've ever had come out to like a single show.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And it's the other thing too is it's easier to just sit down at your house and and listen to this stuff than to go out of your house and go see a stand-up show. And I know I'm not the most patient person. It's hard for me to sit for that long.
Yeah.
I don't like hour-long sets. I don't care who's doing them.
Yeah. Well, what's the motivation? Except when I'm doing them, right? I appreciate that. What would be your motivation to go out nowadays, right? Because you could just turn on.
Obligation is pretty much it. Like for me,
Exactly.
I don't ever feel like it.
Well,
and even when I feel like it the day before, the day of, I'm always like, I don't want to go.
Yeah.
That's just I'm antisocial anyway. That's a different problem.
Yeah. No, I'm the same way though, right? Like if I have to go to the gym and train with Nick, I don't want to fucking do it. I know when I get there, I'll be fine and everything, right? But you don't want to leave the house. But what I mean is, where's the motivation when you can just turn on Netflix and see the best stand-up comedy and never run out of it?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, the fucking content on there for stand-up is ridiculous. And if you run out there, you go to YouTube, you go anywhere, right? It's so easily accessible. The best stand-up in the world is so easy to get now. Why the fuck would you go out and watch a bunch of amateurs unless you're interested in the craft itself, right?
Yeah. Yep. That. Or there's one benefit in St. John, and I think this might be what pushes us a little bit past the edge, is especially in the last few years, that push to have some kind of culture of our own. And I think the only people artistically in New Brunswick who are doing that authentically is probably the comedians.
Yeah.
You know, for music. Well,
Is there not a lot of
thoughts about?
Is there not a lot of good original music being done here? I mean, most bands do
I don't really think that
covers
there
and
is
shit around
much
here.
in Canada, to be honest. And
Right.
I don't. Well, I'm not saying it's not being done. It's just nobody's listening to it.
Mm-hmm.
I listen to the French station, the CBC French Music Radio Canada or whatever it's called,
Right.
EC Music. I think it's probably broadcast out of Quebec, and we can get it here kind of fuzzy. I don't know what the hell they're singing about, but most of that music is really good.
No kidding.
And even the English stuff, like they do play a fair amount of English stuff on there too. And once in a while there'll be like some top 40 hit, but for the most part, it's all stuff I've never heard of. And some of these songs that I like write some of the lyrics down and go and find a song later on, and it'll be on Bandcamp with 2,000 views.
No shit.
And this is the stuff that they're playing on the. And I'm not a big fan of the CBC, but the French CBC music station is awesome.
Now, do you speak French? Do you know what the fuck they're saying in between the songs?
No, if it's a song that's in French and I want to find it, I go on my phone and type 99999 and call that, and it timestamps it on my phone so I know what time the song played.
Okay.
And then I go back and go through their play logs and figure out who it was.
All right.
I've got some really cool tunes that way. I don't know what the hell they're about. Well, actually, I do. There's one called J'aime ta grand-mère. I was like, oh, what could that mean? It's I love your grandmother. And the whole video is about this guy trying to get this buddy's grandmother. It's real funny.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's all right. All right. Well, let's switch gears from comedy. Let's talk about the fuck. How long have you been? You started. You and James started Hoveland. When did this fucking start?
5 years ago.
5 years ago? Is that a question? I'm
Yeah, I
supposed to
don't
be
know.
asking the fucking questions here, Adam.
No, maybe 6. Maybe 6 years ago. I don't know. You could go on our YouTube channel and see when the first one was. I know we haven't really done anything in 2.5 years.
Has it been that long since you've done anything?
Yeah, well, except for the movie, which is very close. Oh, yeah, by the way. I will talk about it more when it's actually like getting close to when everything's shot, then I'll know.
When it's available for viewing, I'll get you to come back on and we'll fucking plug the shit out of it, right?
Yeah, we should have Steve and James on at the same time because
Yeah.
they're the ones.
Oh,
I did most of the writing with Steve.
4 guys, that'd be a great podcast.
Well, at least, well, I say it's me and James would be the most important because it's our names. But Steve,
Yeah, because fuck Steve Fudge.
Steve
anyway.
helped me a lot with the script on it. Though.
Yeah.
Like,
Steve's a good writer, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoy writing with Steve quite a lot. And me and Matt Copeland were working on something a few weeks ago that hopefully we will get more done on. I think we're going to once he's finished with the rest of Hard Times.
Completely different project from Hard Times.
Yeah, it's about a mall security guard, but it's a little different.
Nice.
There's 2 mall security guards in that one. He's one of them.
Yeah.
And I'll be the other one. But it went really good. I liked writing with Matt, so hopefully we get to do more of that. It sucks that he moved so far away.
I've only sat down with Matt, sat down on purpose to have a writer's room kind of fucking deal, man. It was a great experience, and we came up with some fucking awesome shit.
He's
Matt's fast, and he's got great fucking ideas, man. And he can pump out a script fucking real quick.
Yeah. You don't spend a whole lot of time. In fact, I found with, I'm real picky about stuff, and Matt's a little more like, let's just get it done. And he's just throwing out idea after idea, and I'm trying to filter them down to the ones that I like and stuff. And you're never at a shortage for ideas.
Yeah.
You're never sitting there thinking, what do we do here? It takes 30 seconds, and he has 10 ideas.
Yeah. Yeah, he's awesome that way. Now you play the character Dirty Old Pete on that show. No surprise, you're my fucking nemesis in this show too. That's usually the way our dynamic works anyway. But what else? What capacity do you also have on Hard Times? Because like you run a camera. Sometimes you're running the boom mic.
If the camera,
I think you've directed a couple episodes, have you not?
no, I've directed scenes, but I'm directing the next episode that we shoot.
Oh, nice.
But other than that, I've just helped James and Ian. But anytime that the camera's like a giant one shot that's moving around a lot, that's usually me that was doing those.
Yeah.
Anytime it's on a tripod, it was Ian.
So you haven't directed a full episode yet?
Nope. In fact, I haven't even read the scripts before we did them or anything. I usually just show up that day and do what they tell me to do.
Yeah, me too.
I take advantage of it. I mean, I've offered to help Matt with stuff before, but he seems to have it under control. And
Yeah.
now that he lives so far away, it's hard to get together.
So are you going to be directing the one we're shooting on the 27th?
I think so.
Yes.
I think so.
Nice. That's
Unless they've changed
well,
their
fuck.
plans
That's
to
coming.
tell me.
That's this coming Sunday.
I know. I was kind of expecting him to call. I haven't been on Facebook in like a month, so that might be.
What's a Facebook?
Yeah. Well, I don't want to contribute to Donald Trump winning no more elections. I don't want to be a Russian bot.
Oh fuck. Are we getting into Trump right now? Is that what's happening? I don't want to get
For
you
the
fired
record,
up
I said-
politically here.
Well, I just want to say for the record that was said very tongue in cheek, and I hated Facebook well before Cambridge Analytica, and I think that it's hilarious that people think that there was what were they doing? Selling ads? Who the hell changed their political decision? They're like, oh yeah, let's target Trump supporters with Trump ads, and then they'll vote for Trump, and then that's collusion, and the election's all over with. Like,
Yeah.
what planet are you on? But whatever, if it gets you off Facebook, it's probably for the best.
Sure.
So.
Now, what? It's funny because they act as though America has never interfered in any fucking elections over the years. You know what I mean? Like, look at how many countries do you think that we've actually just fucking not us, but the United States has gone in and just taken the fucking head right off and put in whoever they wanted. I mean, you there's not even enough paper to fill out that fucking list.
No, and I mean, even like taking all that away and just looking at it as a democratic election, like really, what is everybody doing? They're trying to fix the outcome. Like, it's one thing to say you've gone in and tampered with machines. That I totally disagree with, obviously.
Sure.
But as far as like what you do for advertising and what you do for campaigning and stuff, I think there's way too much of it. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But I'm not going to blame Trump all of a sudden for doing anything crazier than anyone else did. And when you look at the actual amounts of money you're talking about, it's like, Hillary taking money from Russia, from the Saudis, and it's in the hundreds of millions.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Donald Trump, they found out somebody got like $185,000 from some kind of real estate deal or something like.
Oh, look out.
It's nothing.
Yeah.
It's nothing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's a fucking mess.
how would the Trump team know before the election that Russia was going to be made into the boogeyman? Like,
Yeah.
If they had done like a bunch of dealings with China, the same thing would have been about China. It just doesn't.
Well, I think most of the the larger countries were trying to persuade people to vote one way or the other, right? I
Yeah.
mean, that's just fucking natural. But that's all it is it's just persuasion.
Well, yeah. I mean, look at
They're
Brexit.
supposed to do that.
Look at Brexit, for example. Like
Yeah.
how much foreign pushing was there towards that in the media and in this in the States and everywhere else on the CBC. Everybody. Everywhere you turn, they were all trying to.
Do you think it's that people hate Trump or just are so fucking butthurt that Hillary didn't get it? What do you think it is?
I think the only ones left now are just clinging to their pride. I don't know what they've got left to be mad about. You go and read like people on Twitter and stuff, and the stuff that they're talking about. You'll see like an article saying, this is what Trump's doing today, whatever, and somebody will be underneath of it saying, how this is Hitler 2.0, this is Stalin 2.0, this is somebody the other day they're talking about, how they found out that there's the DOJ or the CIA, I think it was the DOJ was actually spying on the Trump campaign, like had a mole, and
right?
They found out who it was, and then they came out and said no, that we were actually spying on him to make sure that he was safe, like to protect him. So somebody on Twitter replying to one of these articles on this same subject called Trump Nixon 2.0, and I replied, yeah, because Nixon was definitely spied on, and then he caught those spies.
Yeah.
Like that. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's all It's all fucking crazy, man. I think America got exactly what they wanted, right?
Half of them did.
They wanted change, you
Yeah.
know? And people say, well, how can Trump, how can he be for the common man? He doesn't know what it's like to be a common man. He's exactly like a common American. He's on Twitter shooting his fucking mouth off all the time. He represents the regular American more than any fucking politician that's come before him.
Yeah, and it's because, I mean, you could say, yeah, he's a billionaire, but he didn't get to be a billionaire through seclusion, and he's been out there the whole time.
Yeah.
He's has his face on everything that he does, and it's, I mean, there's like that. I think that his little red hat's a perfect example. He's not. He appeals to that old mentality. He doesn't need everything. Like, I know that he probably shits on a golden toilet exclusively.
Sure.
But the little red hat, it worked for some reason. Like, it's just because it's humble in a
Yeah.
way, and that's like he knows how to relate to them, and I think he has a genuine vested interest in the success of the American people, and that's the difference between him and others. I mean, say what you will about Barack Obama, good or bad, you'd have to put up a pretty. I don't think there's any case to be made that his role and goals were not specifically to shrink America's power in the world.
Right.
Whether that's something you want or not, that's
Yeah.
what he was doing. And Trump's doing the exact opposite of that.
Yeah.
So,
well, Obama came in with a lot of promises. One thing, you're going to make that comparison with Obama and Trump. At least Trump, I mean, he said some crazy fucking things, but he's fucking doing them.
Yep.
And the ones agree or not agree, at least he's doing them. Where Obama made all these fucking promises and did the exact opposite. And no one talks about that.
yeah,
You know?
I remember that Guantanamo Bay being a big one for me back then, and thinking, oh yeah, then if he's going to close down Guantanamo, that's like the center of all the craziness that's happening with because at the time when 9/11 first happened and they're cracking down on all like the freedoms and stuff, and you just want to see, like, you don't want to see military tribunal type courts going on for regular citizens who just got caught up in impossible terrorist stuff, that because they're almost always wrong, or they're wrong enough that it's not a good idea to be putting these people into a big prison for years at a time without due process. I don't agree with that one bit.
Now it's decades at a time.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
Where were you when 9/11 happened?
I was working at Backstreet Records.
You were at Backstreet Records.
Yeah, this is how stupid
Oh,
I
dude,
was.
that must have been a great place to work. That's a fucking awesome store.
Yeah.
Gord's a great guy.
Him and my dad were best friends growing up, and I worked there for most of high school, and he couldn't, like, I didn't get enough hours to make it a full-time job. So
Yeah.
as soon as that last summer after high school, I stopped working there.
Yeah.
I actually started working there, I think, in grade 6 or 7. I would just go in on Saturdays for the whole day, and he'd send me out to do errands and go to Subway for him and stuff like that.
Oh, nice.
Mostly just pick out music. And
What a great place to work, though.
yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, I was there, and I had to go down. I worked on Saturdays by myself, and I had to go before the store opened, I had to get all the money from the night before and go take it down to the bank.
Right.
So I did that, and I come into the bank, and everybody's watching TV. I was like, fucking great. I go
Well,
up-
Saturday. This happened on a Tuesday.
Sorry, I usually work Saturday, but it was a Tuesday because it was after I graduated in 2001.
Right.
So I was still working more than just the weekends.
Oh, yeah.
But it was pretty near the end of my time working there. But yeah, sorry, I didn't mean Saturday. So I went to the bank, and the banks wouldn't have been open either on Saturday.
No.
Everybody's watching the TVs up in the corner. I'm like, that's awesome. I'm just getting in and out. So I did. I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
I went back to the store all happy. I'm sitting in there listening to music, and
You didn't think maybe, like, let's take a walk to the fucking vault while everybody's,
well, the tellers served me. They
Okay.
were looking at it, but they didn't seem. I don't even know what had happened at that point. I'm guessing that the first plane had hit. Probably.
Right, yeah.
So it was about 40. Like, nobody had come into the shop, so I'm sitting there for about an hour just listening to music by myself. Not,
Saying this is fucking great. It's nice and quiet.
yeah, I don't know anything that's going on. And then Judd Crandall's sister came in. It's like, what are you doing? I said, what do you mean? She's like, what are you listening to music for? Like, put the news on.
Yeah.
Like, well, why? What's happening? And she told me what happened. I was like, oh, that's why at the bank everyone was around the TV.
Yeah, right. And by the time you turned it on, second plane had already hit, and we were.
Yeah, it was probably
Yeah.
like noon. I'd say by
Yeah.
the time I got it, I started listening, and then I had it on for most of the day. I remember I was supposed to go record with Steve Fudge's brother, Chris Fudge, who was in a band at the time.
Chris Fudge. I've never met this character.
He got married at a young age and moved with his wife to the country. So
okay.
He used to be in the music scene a lot. He had a band called the Butterfly Effect, which were like, they're really slow and ambient type music, but he's a really good singer-songwriter, and they're definitely one of my favorite St. John bands.
No kidding.
They were awesome.
Chris Fudge.
Yeah, and he agreed to record my band for me, and I was so excited because I was like 16 years old.
Right.
And he was I was going out to see their shows and stuff, and he was going to record me. And he couldn't do it because his girlfriend had to cancel because she was all terrified that the world was ending.
Yeah.
That's my memories of 9/11. Totally selfish.
Yeah, yeah.
Not paying any attention.
Yeah. What was your reaction when you saw what had fucking happened?
The only
Like, were you
thing that-
nervous? Were you scared?
I wasn't afraid of I think pretty early on, I got the fear of the world's reaction. That's the scarier thing, it's definitely proven to be the truth.
Well, especially America's reaction.
Yeah, just
right?
the way everything changed,
Yeah.
and it did a lot. That I didn't. I kind of saw that. I don't know if I saw that coming that day, but that certainly affected my thinking quite a bit. I think it did with a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah. I was in the mountains. I was pretty safe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I wasn't afraid of anything around here getting bombed or anything like that. But
Yeah.
it was pretty ridiculous. But
I got married 2 days later.
yeah,
Yeah. It's quite a week. It was quite a week.
really.
The shitty thing was 2 days after the wedding, we flew first to Ontario and then here to New Brunswick. We were in the airport for like 5 fucking hours.
Yeah,
They checked everybody's everything. Shit was moving fucking slow.
there was
Real slow.
There was one of the I forget, somewhere in the Maritimes where they ended up taking in a bunch of people because everything got shut down. There was no traveling over North America, was it? For like
No,
2
that's
weeks?
right. And actually, Jamie's parents were, it was a Tuesday. We were getting married on a Thursday. They were flying out. They were the last plane to leave Pearson that morning. And they were 10 minutes away from Calgary. That's where they were supposed to be. But they shut Calgary down to let, all the other flights, internationals, land there. So they got shipped back to fucking Manitoba and eventually had to find a car to rent, drove out. They were supposed to be there 2 days before the wedding. They arrived 2 hours before the wedding.
Jeez.
So that was a little scary. Like for me, when it was happening, I was watching it on TV and Jamie was on the phone trying to find her fucking parents. So I'm watching it going, wow, this is, crazy, crazy TV. But Jamie
She actually had.
she was
something to be
losing her,
worried about.
yeah, she was losing her fucking mind.
I would imagine.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a crazy week. You know what the craziest thing was though when we finally got on the plane. So getting on the plane, I had someone had given us a cake cutting kit, right, for the fucking wedding cake or whatever.
Yeah.
They took that, right?
Yep.
And it was engraved and all that fucking shit. We never did get it back. They even took a set of nail clippers that I had. They wouldn't let me on the plane with. So get this. We get on the plane. They served the food, steak knife. It was just, they didn't know what the fuck they were doing.
No.
They were trying to be super careful, but it's like, hey man, you're giving me the fucking weapons here.
Yeah, and I mean, it's one of those things like how much if you can't logically protect against it, then why try to illogically protect against it? Like, as it seems that we do that a lot. Well, like the global warming is a good example of the same type of thing. It's like instead of actually doing something, like I don't even really fully believe in global warming, but I definitely believe that the Paris Accords are not going to do anything about it.
Yeah, certainly not.
All that we do is just like, okay, here's what we'd have to do. Here's what we're going to do instead. We know it won't work, but if you don't vote for it, you're the problem.
Yeah, exactly. You're adding to the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, listen, chemtrails are taking care of all that fucking shit anyway, so
Yeah, that's right.
yeah, we're covered.
If we can somehow avoid an ice age, I don't think that's bad.
Yeah. Well,
Nor do I think we can. I don't think that that we can emit CO2 all we want. When the temperature's going to drop, it's going to drop.
it's going to drop. There's nothing we can do about it.
We're dealing in such tiny, tiny little percentiles compared to what it does. Like, that's when I totally lost faith, is when I look back at I found a graph of data, which I'm pretty sure is reputable, or as reputable as they know, because it's so far back in the past that nobody knows. But if you figure out all the ice ages and stuff, the planet's temperature's never been anywhere near stable.
Yeah.
And this stuff changes all the time.
So you're watching videos on this kind of thing. When do you think is going to be the next ice age? Like, are we fucking due? Are we
I don't
overdue?
know. Well,
Are we
if you
close?
ask, if Bill Nye says we're overdue, then it's never going to happen
Right,
because
that's
we put too much CO2 in the air. But he's pretty near brain dead, so that is what it is.
Well, he's not even a scientist.
If you love science and Bill Nye,
yeah.
yeah.
And you got a big
might
problem
be-
with Neil deGrasse Tyson too. You're not a fan of his either.
No, I'm not.
I was surprised to learn that.
An idiot.
He's an idiot.
I think he is. I mean, it's like, I think that science is becoming religion. I think it has. I'm just starting to recognize now exactly what that means, because people have been warning about that for a long time. But you have people who don't know what they're talking about, telling you that they do.
Right.
That's if science is supposed to be the idea of everything, is a theory, you can only prove stuff wrong, you can never prove stuff right, then how come these people think they're so right all the time? The Neil deGrasse Tyson versus like the flat earth movement, for example, I find.
Are you a flat earth?
No, but I don't think it's completely impossible. I think that it's, I can't see it. You can't see it. So what business do you have me telling me that Neil deGrasse Tyson can see it? He can't see it either. And the thing is, I've seen him, well, maybe not purposely, probably out of ignorance, misrepresent the very argument that he's trying to debunk. That rapper B.O.B. that posted the picture, I can't remember it, and I don't want to do what Neil deGrasse Tyson did, but I think in his picture, he's looking out at the horizon, and there's two separate cities he could see, one on the left and one at the right in this picture.
Right.
Well, so Neil deGrasse Tyson's televised debunking of this talks about how he could still see the city because as if he was just looking at one city. He was talking about it not from his eyes looking out, but from one city to the other. Like the ratio, you couldn't see the curve between them, but you should be able to because there's this many inches over this many miles, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But Neil deGrasse Tyson tried to debunk it as in the sense as if he was saying, I shouldn't be able to see this city A at all with no talk of city B.
Right.
It's
so
like,
he just twisted it to...
He didn't even, I don't think he even looked at the tweet or looked at the picture. He couldn't have because he was talking about something totally different.
Right.
And then, and it's just the way that he's condescending about it. And what I see from flat earthers for the most part is, I think if you took like everybody who believed in the flat earth and everybody who believed in the round earth and added all of their actual scientific knowledge up, the flat earthers would win because most people don't know anything about science. They're at least trying.
Yeah.
They're at least doing some things. They may be wrong-headed. They maybe end up their theory be disproven by their own selves, whatever. But they're the ones out there who are trying to do experiments, and they've got laser levels on beaches, shooting them at boats as they go out to see if they can detect a curve and stuff like that. And then Neil deGrasse Tyson has no problem going and calling them idiots and saying that they're wasting his time. Meanwhile, he has no problem explaining to Katy Perry that math and science are somewhat related. And this is who you're looking at for scientific advice.
Hey, listen, now, and I agree with you. I like it that the flat earthers are at least asking fucking questions and not accepting the status quo. Right?
Yeah.
It's important to ask questions.
Yeah.
And they make a lot of great fucking points. They say some shit in those videos sometimes where you go, fuck, that's, it makes you think.
I think that the thing that they are right about is that we're being lied to in a lot of ways about space.
Oh, sure we
I
are.
definitely don't think that we
Absolutely.
went to the moon.
I don't know if I think we may have gone to the moon, but we did. That video is not from the fucking moon.
Well, that's for sure. But
Yeah.
they lost.
But why haven't we gone back?
Because
right?
of the radiation belts. They can't.
Sure.
They can't get through them in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you might as well just leave that on the floor, but you're not having a lot of success.
That's the
holding
second
on
one.
to it.
There's two down there now. They straight up say that they don't know how to get past the radiation belts and they forgot how to do it. Like that's NASA's excuse. I think.
Sure.
I've
Just forgot.
Yeah, they don't have the technology, and they lost. You know what? The telemetry.
Didn't they say they destroyed the technology? I think I heard that somewhere
destroyed
once.
in a fire or something. And it's the same with the telemetry data. You know what that is? It's the data that it's what the computer would read. It shows you second to second where the ship is.
Right.
It's gone. It's 16,000 tapes.
Just gone.
Yeah, and there was a video of some guy talking about this and Bill Nye yelling at him, and Bill Nye says, actually, they just lost one tape and the rest of them still exist. And then in the same video, the article comes up on the screen where it's just talking about all the tapes that they lost. Like,
yes.
Bill Nye doesn't know what he's talking about.
Now, listen, I don't mind you questioning Neil deGrasse Tyson when it comes to science, okay?
Yeah.
But he did a great fucking job on Mike Tyson Mysteries. He did a great job.
I don't like his acting either.
You know what was great? Did you see that episode?
No.
Mike Tyson Mysteries. So Mike Tyson goes and he's homeless. His house burns down. So he's like, I'm going to go stay with my brother. So they go knock on the door and it's fucking Neil deGrasse Tyson. Obviously not his fucking brother, right? And then, of course, the episode goes on where, he's not just related to Neil deGrasse Tyson, like every Tyson chicken, like fucking everything. So, but anyway, Neil deGrasse Tyson did a pretty good job there.
All right, maybe I'll watch it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of Mike Tyson's
He did good.
Mysteries.
He did good work.
Right.
You haven't seen that?
No.
Dude, what's stopping you from watching it?
I just don't, when I think of things to watch, it didn't come into my head.
You should watch it. You're a fan of animation.
Yeah, somewhat.
What?
Well, I like animation, I guess. I just don't, I haven't gotten into a whole lot of the new cartoons. I haven't really watched Archer or BoJack Rick and Morty got
Rick
to
and
me
Morty
eventually.
gotcha.
But
Yeah. Well, you're the one that convinced me to fucking watch it.
really,
Yes. See, I had tried that for the first episode like twice.
yeah.
And you kept saying to me, if you can make it through that first episode, it gets better. It
Yeah,
gets better.
I was literally, it wasn't until that rant at the very end of the first episode when he's like, rickandmorty.com forever, like that
Yeah.
whole bit.
Well, that's what you said to me. You said
what
that
made me click
episode
the next
sucks.
episode, and that's, if it wasn't for that bit, I don't think I would have watched episode 2.
Right, and that's what you told me. You sold it because I always said I haven't made it to the end of that episode, and you're like, make it to the end of that episode, and I did, and now it's my favorite fucking show ever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a tremendous show, and you should be watching BoJack as well.
Yeah, I haven't seen BoJack, but I used to like Aqua Teen back in the day. They had
That was a good show.
2 or 3 really strong seasons.
Yeah, that was a good show.
I like The Simpsons, obviously. South Park's pretty good. South Park's not super funny, but they're cutting. And
Yeah, it's very interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, and there's comedy in there.
Yeah, they definitely have some very funny moments, but
All right, let's get back to your filmmaking, Hoveland.
Okay.
Well, so what inspired you to do this Hoveland? So you guys have this. It's a sketch show, basically, like an improv kind of.
we did different things. The first giant chunk that we did was totally scripted, and then we did
100% scripted.
yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
really?
and mostly followed to the. It wasn't intentionally improvised, that's for sure.
Right.
Then after that, we did like, I don't know, 14 or 15 episodes of where we improv them, but we knew where we were going. And it's a mix between improv and practicing, because you'll do 3 or 4 takes, because you were there for some of these.
Yeah.
And usually by the end of it, it's turning into what it's going to be. But then there's always like that little bit from the first take that we can't quite recapture, so we just use that. And,
Yeah.
And tricks like that. But for the most part, we certainly don't have a script. We have a basic idea of where it was going to go at the end. Sometimes not even.
Yeah, no one handed me papers before when I showed up to film with you.
No, once in a while I'd make a couple notes, but usually we just try to. It would all happen over the course of an hour, so there's only so much you need to write down.
Yeah. Now, what about so what drove you into it initially? Like, was this something you wanted to do when you were a kid, or what's the?
I was making music with my friends, and it was funny. At one point, I just said, "You know what? It'd be cool is if we, instead of had been doing music all this time, what if we wrote comedy? Because we're, it's that thing where everybody's like, my friends and I are funny,
Yeah.
but mine actually were,
Yeah.
and
It's not always true.
No, and you can find out pretty quick. But everybody that we showed our stuff ended up liking it, and we had another guy, Adam Day, who you never met because he moved, I think 4 or 5 years ago, who was in our before we did Hoveland, who was in the Great Scott Show, which is the first thing we made. It's funny, but it's really bad quality. I wouldn't really recommend it to anybody unless you're
Yeah.
really interested in that stuff. But yeah, so we started. That was all scripted, and then we did a movie after that. We didn't do anything for a few years, and then we did a movie, and the movie's kind of where the Adam character started, I guess.
What's the movie called? Where can people find it?
The Making of the Forest for the Trees. It's
Right.
a mockumentary about me making a movie, which is a theme that even the Great Scott Show, the very first episode is about us making a show.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I do that a lot.
It's funny. I came up with an idea a couple years ago to do a show, a news show, like a news program. But really the show was about you trying to, like, you got the thumbs up from a network or somebody to film a show. And it's really just about filming the show, right? This news program.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
I would do that.
I don't think I ever sat down and talked to you about that, but
We should.
That'd be a fun project.
I love stuff like that. I like things. I like it when stuff breaks the fourth wall, kind of. In some ways, I like the way I like the idea of blending the lines of what the show is supposed to be and what it turned out to be.
Yeah.
And it's a cool place to operate because you kind of can let anything fly.
Yeah.
You might have a few sacred rules like the ones RF broke last week, but for the most part, it's pretty much just whatever you think of goes.
Yeah. I think that draws the viewer in quite a bit more too, gets them more invested, right? If they're seeing a bit of the process too.
Yeah.
Well,
I always like the idea of that's kind of where Boot Attack and the Hat Attack ones came from, where we just went out and talked to people on the streets. I wanted to take that further. There's one of them where me and James get in a fight in the middle of a hat attack.
Yeah.
And we didn't tell the people doing it that that's what we were going to do. So, and the cops came by, but we got the shots we needed. It worked out.
Yeah. Those are probably maybe my favorite takes from Hoveland with the boot attacks, the hat attacks, that whole dynamic. If you watch anything from Hoveland on YouTube, how do people find these videos?
Just look up Hoveland. You'll either get us or the guy with the Christmas tree lights that goes along with the music. So if it's not a
Well,
house
that's a pretty
covered in
powerful,
Christmas- if
pretty
it's not a
powerful
house
video.
covered in Christmas tree lights, you found the right guys.
Yeah. I love those boot attacks, man.
Yeah.
I was on location a few times filming those. That was a fucking good time.
Yeah, they're always fun to do. It's a weird type of thing because, well, I guess we may as well, if you'd ever seen them, we just go up to strangers and ask them stupid questions. But there's a bit of a process because we got to get people who've got a few minutes. We don't come right up to them with the camera.
Yeah.
So
we approach them first and then try to get them on the camera.
Yeah, we usually have Steve and James, and probably you did some when you were around.
Yeah.
People wrangling, as we called it.
Yeah.
We go try to get people to do it, and I would just hide behind the camera so I didn't have to give away myself.
Yeah.
And then as soon as it started, we just turn right into characters and
We
ask
send
them
you in with a fucking boot full of questions.
Yeah.
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 Who was writing these questions?
We had a group chat.
Yeah.
Just anytime you had an idea, throw it in the question. Usually, or throw it in the group chat, and in the list. Usually, what would happen though is you get to the day before we were going to shoot it, and then we'd have to pull out 2 or 3 hours of sitting by the computer and
Pulling them out.
Yeah.
Picking the good ones.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's probably 20 times as many as we used because most of them weren't good.
So now the Hoveland dream is almost over.
Yeah, once we
Right.
get this movie finished.
Yeah. So what's the movie? What's this all about?
Oh, it's a bit of a mess like everything else we've done, but it's going to serve as a vehicle to release the long-awaited last episode of the E for Election series that we did film back in the day but never put out. So this is kind of like the movie's going to. I don't know if the episode, it's probably not going to be in the movie, but we'll put them out at the same time. And the movie is kind of about that episode coming out. Again, breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah.
Because in the show, the original stuff is kind of like the stuff that the characters made. And then the next series is outside of that. Now you're following the people who made the show, but they're basically the exact same people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now I think we're even a step outside of that, I'm pretty sure.
So when are you hoping to release this? When are you-
Before the end of the year.
Yeah.
Definitely before the end. Like, I'm thinking if I can get the rest of it filmed before the end of the summer, then I will have, it'll take me 3 or 4 months to edit it probably.
So you're not editing as you go?
Mostly. I'm putting in like little demos of every scene so that the scene is technically correctly done. But it's got to be edited for pacing. It's way too long already, the way it is right now.
Yeah. What are you hoping for a time? Like an hour and a half?
Yeah, and maybe
Or less?
Probably more, but probably not more than an hour 40.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll be able to, because right now, I think it's already up to an hour and 25 minutes, and I've still got 20 pages left to shoot.
Oh, nice.
So but I've done no editing. Like, just like I say, the scenes are put together, but that's it. No,
Yeah, you
no,
haven't cut them down.
No taking anything out or anything. And I showed a part of the edit to Tim Trinnell, and he's like, it's pretty good, but he says, you got to get rid of some of the tryptophan. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, when you eat turkey, it's like, oh no.
Oh boy.
I'm a little tired. I was like, okay.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
can speed it up.
Yeah.
That's what happens. Like, I edited all the scenes as we shot them the day that we shot them and the day after, and then just dropped them in a timeline and rendered the whole thing. I didn't watch it back or anything. So
Yeah.
as a whole until I did it with Tim. But
Yeah. It's I'm looking forward to seeing it. Am I gonna be needed for more scenes in this? Oh, nice.
at least one more.
Nice.
I've changed some of the. Well, we can talk about it later.
Yeah.
It's complicated.
Yeah. Now what do you and now you're involved in Hard Times. What a fucking show this is. What's your feel on Hard Times?
I like it a lot. I mean, it's not 100% my comedic bag, but I definitely like doing the work and everybody that we're working with, and he's found more actors for the pool, so
Yeah.
it's always good.
Absolutely. Yeah, and he's taking a chance. Like, he's never seen Ben McDonald do any, kind of acting or something, but he wrote a role for him. And man, Ben fucking took off with that role. What a great character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome to have all the comedians around too, because I find that if you work with people who are actually actors, but they're who consider themselves actors but are not good, then they're really cringy. It's like it's really obvious that they're acting.
Yeah.
With comedians, they at least have enough lack of nervousness. Like they can come off as natural, so that part's covered.
Yeah.
And then
It may not be the best acting, but they're already
they feel like they're relatively really there, like real people. They don't sound like they're reading off lines or like they're trying to do this big grandiose performance because they're not thinking about it that way. They're just trying to be silly.
Yeah.
And it's usually real funny.
Yeah.
You got to. I find the best way to do it is to come up with some kind of basic idea for a new actor, but then be really ready to throw it out the window real quick because who knows, they might give you a way better idea.
Yeah. Well, the great thing is, like, Matt will show up with scripts. Here's your lines. Here's your lines. But he encourages you changing them anyway, making them yours and making them funnier, improving them, right?
Yep.
Which is, man, that's not real natural for someone who writes a fucking script. Usually they don't want you fucking with them, hardly at all.
No, but it's cool because it serves a lot of different purposes. For one, it keeps Matt from being too precious about things, which is a huge problem with writers, especially ones that aren't getting paid and stuff.
Sure.
I think I'm pretty good at that problem. I get better at it as it goes, and then further on in the process, I get better at taking stuff out that I don't like anymore, or admitting that I don't like something that I thought I did like.
Yeah.
But with Matt, doesn't have to really worry about that, or doesn't worry about that, which is a good thing, and it lets everybody else take some more pride in what they're doing.
Oh,
which
absolutely.
is important because again, they're not actors. Like they're not trying to build a reel.
Yeah.
What else would you be doing this for?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
they're just trying
exactly.
to have fun with their friends.
And it took me a little while to get that because I go back and I watch like the first episode and some of the first scenes that I was in, and I was going almost entirely off the script, and I could tell the difference, right? I could tell that's not me. Those aren't my words. It's not the way I would say things.
Yeah.
And as it progressed through the episodes, I started to take more and more liberties and, made the character me, or at least, a version of me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that about Matt. Now, are you concerned? I know a lot of the boys are concerned with their jobs and, the content of the show. Because let's face it, this show is fucking super offensive on purpose.
Yeah, well, I don't have to worry about that.
It's designed to be that way.
Yeah, I don't have to worry about that too much because my character. Well, I mean, maybe I would if somebody just lumped me in, but you don't see my character and get offended. But
Yeah.
like some of the other guys, I can see that being an issue. I suppose. I don't know though. I mean, we both nobody here works for Irving, do they?
I don't think so. John used to, sort of.
The only people you really got to be worried about.
Yeah.
Everybody else is pretty chill.
So what do you got on? So after Hoveland, what do you got on the horizon?
Well, we're doing that podcast with Ian and Brian, and
what's that? Let's talk about that podcast. What's it called?
depends who you ask.
Well, it changes every week anyway.
Yeah, it changes every week.
What's the current name of it? How can people find it, first of all?
Well, I don't think we ever did change. The current name is something like, it's Adam's show now, but Ian and Brian can sometimes be in it a little. I think that's what it's called, something like that. It's
That's a great title.
yeah. Ian and Godso have to do this is the original name, and then we've just been.
So is it under that on YouTube?
Yeah.
Ian and Godso have to do this?
Yep.
Yeah. And that's where they'll find it?
Yep.
Yeah. So are you guys now doing a weekly release, or is it
It's pretty near
a
weekly.
little more complicated?
No, it's been well. We took a 2-week break before your episode came out.
Yeah, I
and
noticed.
that's been the only break so far.
Yeah.
So far.
Oh, how
But-
convenient.
Well, Brian had a show. We didn't film anything for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Because one of them, Brian, had a show out of town, and the other one, Ian, had work stuff. There was something he had to do that he just didn't have time. So
Yeah.
2 in a row ended up getting canceled, and that's why. But I mean, for the most part, we're going to try to do it weekly.
And are you editing this whole thing?
In the storyline of it, we've been battling over who does the edit, but in real life, it's almost the reverse situation because I don't want to edit them.
Right.
We're probably going to go 50-50, and I don't know how that's going to work. In
You
the
and
story.
Ian, obviously. 'Cause let's face it, Godso's not editing a fucking thing.
He doesn't have a computer, so
He doesn't have a computer.
no, he's got a PlayStation.
Jesus Christ. Well, he's got a PlayStation and an iPhone. Who needs a fucking computer, right?
Me, but
Yeah.
I couldn't live without it.
Yeah. What do you use your computer for mainly? Editing? Porn? What's the...
Yeah, and games, and that's where I spend pretty much my whole day. Watch YouTube pretty much 8 hours a day.
Yeah, what are you seeking out on YouTube?
I like
Music? What are you seeking out?
I like music. I find I'm usually just going through my favorite songs and playing them. I don't use YouTube to discover music really.
Yeah.
Mostly just do that through the radio or stuff.
No one I know does.
No, well, I've got some friends who do. Dave Brito, he used to scour MySpace for new music back in the day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was on there with Execution.
Yeah,
on
he
MySpace.
might have heard you. Well, he had heard everything on MySpace. Like,
Yeah.
literally, that's all he did.
No shit.
There was one band he found from Germany or Europe, somewhere in that part of Europe, called Clune, like clown, but Cloon.
Okay, yeah.
They were like awesome, kind of like circusy punk stuff. But I went to Europe that summer, and they were playing in the city I was at.
No
Me
shit.
and my brother went to see them.
Oh, that's cool.
It was really cool. It was in
Yeah.
like the dingiest basement bar I've ever been in. It was sketchy. Like all the beer was in plastic cups, and real cheap.
Yeah.
And it was literally a basement.
Could you smoke in there?
I didn't, but you wouldn't be surprised if we could have gotten away with it.
I missed those.
We were like coming in, and it was a kind of rough scene. Me and my brother we didn't know how to get there, so we just went into it was either Bruges or Brussels. I always get those two mixed up because they're both BR words.
Yeah.
We were looking around for this place, we couldn't find it, so we just asked a couple strangers, and we finally this guy named Jeroen took us there, stayed for the
You're
whole
ruined.
Jeroen.
Nice.
There was an English name for it, but I can't remember what it was. Jerry, I think.
Jerry.
Yeah.
No, that sounds right.
And he took us took us there, like just to give us directions on his bike, and we were on bikes. And then he stayed for the whole concert, and this was not his scene. You know, he did not look like the type of person. Like these guys are all like, you know, punks and leather jacket people and that thing. And this is just some like businessman we found on the street who happened to know where the address was. He goes in, watches the whole show with us, then took us across the street after the show to his friend's bar. The bar is about as big as this room, and everything on the menu was €5 and up. Like no cheap anything here.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like kind of looked like O'Leary's feel, like all dark wood type of thing. But anyway, we didn't pay for a drink. We were there for 5 hours. They just fed us booze. My brother took a drink of something that came with a piece of salmon that you had to eat before you took the drink.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it was strange.
So what were you doing in Germany?
My dad, I went a couple times with my dad. I think that time he had business to do. Or no, we were going. He had a friend who was going back camping for the whole summer, and we met up with them and tagged along for a few weeks.
Oh yeah, someone was backpacking across Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His buddy Frank.
Where else have you been that's interesting?
That's it. I've been to Holland, Germany, Luxembourg.
Whoa, let's stop right there. So in
a
Holland,
few
did you go to
times.
a hash bar? Like, tell me a
Yeah.
fucking story here.
Well, I mean, you can do it now. It's here. Wasn't that exciting. The last time I went, they had changed the laws, and the only place you could buy
How many fucking times have you been to Holland?
3.
Jesus Christ.
The first time was when I was in grade 4, so that wasn't.
Yeah,
there
that
was
doesn't
no
count.
That time. The second
you
time,
can't get high, it doesn't count.
when me and my brother went, we did. Went to Amsterdam, but the last time I went, I couldn't get to Amsterdam, and they changed the laws so you couldn't buy it in any other cities.
Just Amsterdam.
There was one day where I could have made if you're not from Holland, you had
Right.
to provide ID.
Yeah, right.
So there was one day that I could have went there, and I got sick because usually when you're in a new place after day 2 or 3, you might get sick. So I just didn't go, and it was fine. But the time before that, I ditched the rest of my family and got on a train and went like halfway across the country just to get a 20 bag.
Nice.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So, but you guys didn't go to like a hash bar and chill out and get.
Yeah, that time I did. I bought some there and I smoked it in the bar, and then I took some home with me.
Nice.
But it's not really a bar. It's more like a coffee shop, but it was so hot. I remember sitting there thinking it's like the first time in a week that I got any weed. And I'm sitting in this place just boiling. The sweat's just pouring off my head. And like I feel more like a crackhead than a pot smoker.
How was the quality?
It was awesome. At the time,
Yeah.
The first place that we went, or when we first got there, we went to Belgium for the first 5 or 6 days, so we couldn't get anything, at least through dispensaries. And I went into town the first night to try to find some, and everybody's like, "No, you're not going to find any, man. This is a beer town, blah, blah, blah." And like 10 feet away, this big Jamaican guy comes by with a trench coat on, and he's like doing this, like opening it up to show people stuff. And he's like, and then I saw him and kind of made eye contact with him. He's like, "You need anything?" And he just had it full of weed. Like,
his jacket.
Yeah. Just
so it's like
hanging off
in the
it,
movies, you see he
yeah.
opens up the trench coat and there's a bunch of watches.
Yeah,
This guy had a bunch of weed.
Yeah, and it
no
was
shit.
And it was pretty good. I think I paid €40 for a quarter, so pretty much the same as it
That's
would
not
be here.
too bad. Yeah.
It was and that was enough to do till we got to Amsterdam a week later.
Yeah. Did you check out any like live bands in Amsterdam or anything like that?
Not really. Last time I went, me and my dad went on the Rhine in Germany and went just like from town to town along the river.
Oh, cool.
And we got to one that they were having some kind of festival or parade, and there was music playing, lots of bands and stuff there. And it's just everybody who lives along that river, they either make wine they have a restaurant or they have a hotel, like or a farm of some other kind.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's pretty much so. They have these festivals. Every town would have one once a year, and everybody in town would show off their wine and food and stuff that they made. It's freaking awesome.
Sweet.
Yeah,
That does sound awesome.
yeah, and there's not very big either, so like no tourists really go there. So
Yeah.
that's the cool thing about traveling with my dad. He doesn't like going to any touristy stuff.
Now listen, before I let you get out of here, tell me something that nobody knows about Adam Landry, or that they'd be surprised to learn. Maybe a hobby, something you like that would surprise somebody.
Well,
something
yeah.
you've done. Because first of all, the Amsterdam thing kind of surprised me. I didn't know you'd been abroad.
Yeah,
But give me something. Let me in a little. This is the first time that Adam Landry, as himself, has been on a podcast.
well,
Let's face it.
I'm thinking, but I don't know. I can't. There's probably something if I had some time to think about it, but I don't know.
All right,
I'm an open book.
You think it over. When are we going to do another Fringe Festival show? Have you been thinking about that?
I figured if I did it again, it would be a one-man show, so that way I couldn't get mad at anybody else, and it'd be all my own fault.
Yeah, because you guys were fighting a little at the last one.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's funny. The one that went the best is the one where I get the most mad. Everybody bought it like they thought that it was just acting.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I was pissed because the damn song wouldn't work, and I was pretty much just... in my mind, the show was gone. I'm just standing there on the stage, like, just angry as hell.
Yeah.
It turns out that's exactly what the show needed in that spot, so it worked out good.
That was interesting because we mixed like music, a play with stand-up comedy too. There was like 3 stand-up
It turned out
performances.
we had 4 times as many technical cues, which, if you don't know what a technical cue is, when somebody off stage has to either turn a light on, turn them off, turn the music on, something like that. Some kind of cue where they're waiting for their turn to do that thing. And we had 3 times as many as any other thing.
Yeah.
That's why it got so messed up.
It
But
was-
I didn't think that it was that complicated when we came up with it. I figured that compared... I knew it was a little complicated, but I figured compared to the other shows that I didn't think we'd be 3 times the second most amount of cues.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was pretty easy because I had my set that I was going to do.
Yeah, well,
But-
half the show, that's the other thing. 3 times as many cues. Well, 30 minutes of the show is just a stand-up show.
Just stand-up,
so
yeah.
you can tell how many cues are jammed into that other 30
Oh
minutes.
yeah, it was a complicated show, man. I mean, my role, all I was doing was dancing around with a dildo and telling fucking jokes. You know what I mean?
I wish we ended up getting a better recording of that. We had 2 recordings. They were both...
Like video recordings?
Yeah,
Yeah?
and I think they went with my hard drive that I lost that a couple of years ago. But it didn't matter; they were terrible. Only night we got a good board feed, we did not get any video from. And the two nights we got video, they don't look anything alike, and it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
I think most of everybody has different clothes on.
That's too bad. That was interesting though, because the Fringe Festival brings out, the theater crowd, right?
Yeah.
And to be doing that kind of a show where you're waving around dildos and your songs are like James is a Dick, which is, by the way, one of the catchiest songs I've ever been fucking involved in. I still sing that fucking song.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the music in it. Yeah, we have good recordings of that stuff too. We should have did a video for it.
Yeah.
for some of them.
That was a real fun show. I'd like to do that again.
Well, maybe we'll come up with something else.
I'm trying to convince Matt to do a live Hard Times for the Fringe Festival next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously too late this year.
Yeah, but that might be a better opportunity anyways, because I think season 2 is all he plans on doing, except for maybe some kind of movie thing. So he could throw the movie in, probably would have to go after that, but it would still be, they could be tied together in some way too.
Yeah.
There's lots of different ways you could go with it. I don't know. I'd like to do it again, but only if I have a really killer idea. With that show, we knew what that was going to be the day after the Fringe Festival the year before.
No kidding.
That was we should do this again next year, and you'll put on a comedy show, and I'll put on a musical, and we will fight the whole time.
Yeah.
That literally was like the day after the...
Yeah, because that was the year after John did his show, which was like a Hovland, John Ford.
I love that one, too.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was Jesus Christ. Here's one thing about Adam Landry that nobody knows. He never turns his fucking phone down for recordings.
I did turn it down, but I left the alarm mode on.
What happened to your radio show? Because you guys on Hovland had the radio show at 107.3.
Yeah.
And what happened with that? Why'd you stop doing that?
James didn't like doing it, for one thing. He didn't like the doing podcasts, and it gets to be a bit of a pain in the ass, and you got to come up with a new one every week. And when it's improv and high energy, and some weeks you don't feel like doing it and stuff.
Yeah.
So I can understand. I would have kept doing it. That's why I'm trying to pull the Ian and Godso show a little bit. I think it's already starting to turn into that a little bit. the difference with the Ian and Godso show is that either we break it up in two sections. Half of the show I'm not on, either the first half or the second half, depending, and so that makes it a little bit different because I'm not like the host or anything. So we don't. Before I was in it at all, they were just kind of reading news stuff, doing just talking about.
They were
pop
all over the
culture.
place.
Yeah,
Let's be honest. They
but
were
they
all
were
over
mostly
the place.
talking about current events of one
Yeah.
form or the other.
Yeah.
And I'm more interested in making the show what the show is about.
Yeah.
Like having a bit of a script and a way to go with it. So we're starting to put a lot more of that into it. I don't know how far we'll push it in that direction.
Yeah.
It'll probably go back and forth a little bit. I don't know what I really want to do. I'm thinking I'm moving into my own house in a couple of weeks, and I'm thinking that once I get in a place where I'm not living with anybody else, being able to start a solo YouTube channel is kind of what I've been wanting to do for a while. But I don't like the idea of sitting in my room yelling at a camera while my roommates are sleeping. Right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. That makes it tough. I think back then, because this was the period where I was the most involved with Hoveland, and you guys were doing weekly episodes. Like, what was it, 4 a week, right? Because
if you count the podcast, it was 6.
it was 6
we
because
divided
you
the
were doing
podcast into
you were
2.
doing the boot attack. James was doing the hat attack. Fudge was doing the DIY
Life hacks,
stuff.
Yeah.
And plus there was a regular episode every
Plus
week
the
too.
podcast, plus the part of the podcast where we took the characters off.
Oh, the debrief. That's right,
Yeah.
too. Yeah. So I think you guys were you guys were stretched pretty fucking thin.
Yep.
Trying to put out that much content in 1 week, you know? I find it already. Like, I wanted to start an MMA pod. I've always wanted to have a fight podcast. And once I built this studio, I thought, this is fucking perfect. My co-host lives right around the corner, so that eliminates any, problem of having, somebody on all the time. But since I've taken it on, like doing 2 podcasts per week, it's a lot, man. It's a lot.
Yep.
Yeah,
That was when we were doing that too. The other thing is it may not really look like it, but those weren't usually the first edits of stuff. I didn't just upload things to YouTube and wash my hands of it. Those were going to everybody else the day before.
right.
And for all their criticisms
And then you had to go back and do
go
final
back and
edits.
and redo them. So
Jesus Christ.
it wasn't that lazy. And the problem that I think that this is one thing that I have is like, I'll make a first thing and I'll put everything into it. It's like, this is perfect. But then you got to do it again.
Yeah.
You got to do it again and again and again. And I get not as good as time goes.
Well, at some point, you just want it fucking done,
That's the thing.
right?
Yeah.
And you'll settle for anything just to have it done. It's like torture.
Yeah, I think
know?
if you went and looked through all of the little animated intros I did for all of the different shows, that the quality's not consistent. Because some
Yeah.
of them I did over a whole night. Some of them I did 7 or 8 of them in a night.
Yeah.
So it just depends.
Yeah. All right, so have you thought of this thing that you're going to tell me about Adam Landry that nobody knows or would be surprised to learn about you? Are you like a closet football fan or some fucking thing?
I like singing.
I knew the answer
I
to
love
that.
to sing, but I'm
You
terrible
love to
at it.
sing?
Yeah, I love singing.
But you're terrible at it.
Well, I'm not as bad as I used to be, but I'm not great.
Right. So where do you do the majority of your singing now? In the shower?
At the house, it'll be a lot more. I'm getting a
Yeah.
piano.
Yeah. Oh, you're going to get a piano for the new house?
My sister's giving me a rolling digital piano, like a great big. It's digital, but it's great big full size, built into a wood frame.
Oh, no
thing.
shit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
I play it more than she
Fuck,
does.
I've never seen one of those.
Yeah, you probably have and just didn't know it was electric
Right, yeah.
because they look just like a regular piano, but it's got MIDI.
But it's got all
outputs.
the effects and shit on it.
Not really, but it's got MIDI outputs, so therefore I can
can
hook it
do
up to my
any-
computer and do way more than any synthesizer you're going to buy
Yeah.
anyway. But I mostly just wanted to jam around on. It's got weighted keys.
Yeah. So you're a closet singer. That's what it is.
I guess so. I mean, I was in a band where I sang too, but I didn't sing very much in that band. Like, it's just mostly instrumental music with the odd vocals in the chorus and stuff. But
Yeah.
I love just sitting with the guitar by myself. And I like singing by myself better than with other people because I don't think anybody really wants me to.
Well, maybe next time we have you on the Spludecast, we'll talk more music.
right.
We'll get more into that bullshit.
Cool.
Anything else you want to add?
Check out the Ian and Godso Gotta Do This or Have to Do This or whatever it's called this current week.
It's have to.
Have to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what's the name of it now?
Well, I think it still says that on the thing.
What is it? What is it? What's
I
the
don't
title
really
now?
remember. It's something about it's Adam Landry Show plus Ian and Godso some of the times. That's what it's called. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was it.
Hey, thanks a lot for coming out, brother.
No problem. Thank you.